John Hook's Newsmaker Saturday starts now.
Thanks for joining us on Newsmaker Saturday. All I can say is buckle up, because tonight we are engaging not in the latest political debate. We are taking on much weightier questions tonight revolving around UFOs, unidentified flying objects, and UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomena. That is the latest term. And if you think this is a bunch of nonsense, consider this. On June 1st, the Pentagon will produce its most complete report to date on UFOs and UAPs. This was at the behest originally of former President Donald Trump, who gave the U.S. intelligence agencies 6 months to reveal what they know about UFOs and reveal it to Congress. This report will include discussions about incidents and sightings that cannot be explained with present-level human technology. Now, this entire subject, frankly, makes some people very uncomfortable. It challenges everything we think we know, and for others, it's incredibly exhilarating to entertain the endless possibilities of what might be going on. And Jeremy Corbell falls into that second category. He is an investigative filmmaker, a UFO expert, and our guest on Newsmaker Saturday. Great to see you again. We spoke, I think, about 10 years ago about this subject, and my approach to it was, look, I don't know what's going on. I'm not going to dismiss it out of hand because I don't know.
John, you took the topic and you gave it a fair shake, and that was wise of you. And now we're in a different era. If you look back at our first interview, the big thing we talked about is at that time, people were still questioning, is there intelligent life out in the universe? Which statistically is, for it not to be, would be insane. Now, I was saying back then to you, and we were discussing, the new question was going to be, are they visiting here? And here we are, 10 years later from our first interview, and that's precisely where we're at.
Let me show,
incredible.
I'm going to show tape one. Now, this is one of the things that you released. This is DOD video. You can see it on your screen, right? This is tape one. We're going to let this go. There's a little bit of sound on it, and I want you to watch it and describe. You can't describe it. Just let's take a look.
These are unknowns, meaning they've already ruled out the typical things that you would expect, like balloons or basic drones from another country.
All right, that's you talking about it, and that was the pyramid-shaped object. This object is a little different, a balloon-shaped object. Some of these things, Jeremy, are doing things that high-level military people say are otherworldly.
Right. So, John, we're going through a bunch of different footage here. We're seeing this green footage, which has what was described in the official documents by our Office of Naval Intelligence in classified briefings as pyramid-shaped UFOs or unknowns or UAPs. You're also seeing images with a blue background that George Knapp obtained. And he's my mentor in journalism and investigative reporter. And these are images out in FA-18 fighter jet. So that's what you're seeing with the blue backgrounds. These are targets, hard objects, craft. All of this information was obtained through sources of mine and George Knapp's. They are contained within classified briefings. However, what we released is unclassified. So we were able to get it out to the public. We released so much information over the last week and a half, 9 images, actually 10 images now, and 1 video. All of these, in the true sense of the word, are UFOs. Our military is using this exact footage to educate our armed forces and intelligence agencies on the UFO presence on planet Earth. This is not just somebody in their backyard with a camera. These are DOD, as you said, these are Navy images and videos that are used to educate our armed forces.
So it's nothing monkeyed with. This is their footage that they took. And that one, the night vision, the green video that we saw, was the pyramid-shaped UFOs flying over the USS Russell off the coast of California in July of 2019. They reportedly hovered just 700 feet above the Navy warship. Other cell phone images taken by Navy pilots flying near Australia in March of 2019 show 3 identified craft, unidentified, reportedly performing extraordinary capabilities like staying stationary in high winds and doing things that were just absurd. The people watching it said, what in the world is that? They could not explain it.
Right. So you have trained pilots who are observing and encountering and having near misses with craft that appear non-aerodynamic and able to outperform, outmaneuver, outpace anything that we have in the United States arsenal or any arsenal we know on any technologically advanced nation on planet Earth. So this is the issue. It's a national defense issue for some people. Finally, the stigma is being dissolved, eradicated. The laugh factor is going away because we are having direct contact and interactions. Our military is, as well as there's an increase in uptick in sightings and in mass sightings. So this topic, which makes people ticklish, or it used to, is now mainstream. It's being talked about. And as you mentioned at the beginning, our Senate Intelligence Committee has demanded that we get an informational report about the state of UFOs from our intelligence agencies, and we can expect that sometime this summer.
So that comes out in June. That would be the 60, 90-day mark that they put out there.
It's going to be late, I'm sure, because everything in government goes slowly. Yeah. But we have asked for it.
What do you believe you're going to hear that day?
You know, I like to have low expectation and then high yield. So I'll say that the more pressure that we can put on our representatives from Congress to Senate to the President of the United States, not only do we have a right to know, the American public and the global society, we have a need to know. And honestly, we have a duty to push and to find out. So the more noise we can make, the more we can push for answers, then we're going to learn more come that report. So this is the time to raise your voice and say, I want to know what's going on with UFOs. I want to know what you know.
I want to queue up, if we can, tape number 6, if we can get tape 6. We're going to hear the Navy pilots right here describing this. Let's turn up the audio. Take a listen to this.
We're going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots from the west.
Okay, they're going against the wind.
Yes.
It's 120 knots to the west. Why that pilot was so excited is because you have a non-aerodynamic, appearing to be a saucer-shaped craft flying against the wind, and it's not losing speed, and it was able to mechanically turn in the video. These are technologies that we do not have, and that has become clear because our greatest intelligence agencies in the United States are trying to find out and identify and see how these things are propelled and operating and going against our normal reactionary propulsion systems that we know of.
Right. Let's listen to this one. This is tape 6. I want to listen to, you can hear it in the pilots' voices when we run this, that they are just mystified. Tape number 6.
Have any targets up here? We just had something go right over the top of us that, I hate to say this, looked like a long cylindrical object. It almost looked like a cruise missile type of thing moving really fast that went right over the top of us.
Now, that was the American airline pilot encounter. But when the pilots encounter this stuff, far from dismissing it, they are just, as aeronautical folks, they look at it and say, that is amazing. What is that? And you get a lot of that in some of these descriptions and tapes that have now come to the fore.
Because these are near misses. Look, John, these are really important things that are going on. When you have the safety in mind of these American fighter pilots and even just, normal pilots that are doing commercial flights, you've got a lot of lives on board, and you have objects that are flying with impunity in our airspace, in restricted airspace, and they can outmaneuver and outperform anything that we have. That is an issue on a very fundamental, basic level.
Okay, let me ask you a couple of things. Is it possible, we talk about otherworldly, is it possible that another nation is way ahead of us on something? Is it possible China has developed something that we just haven't anticipated? Is it possible that any of this stuff is worldly?
Of course. So every possibility is on the table when something is unidentified. So UFO means unidentified flying object.
Right. It doesn't mean aliens. It doesn't mean aliens. It means you've got an object that nobody knows what it is.
Right. I mean, however, trained Navy pilots like Commander David Fravor said that he believed that what he saw was not made here on Earth. And then additionally, we know the United States government has been studying UFOs because the New York Times broke that story about OSAP and ATIP, which are two programs to study UFOs. Their conclusion is that they're not ruling out extraterrestrial. They say, sure, this could be a leapfrog in technology from an adversarial nation, and that is concerning.
We need to know that. Now, if that's happening, we need to know it.
We need to know it. And right now, we know it's not ours. And that's the main thing. It's not the United States. It's not a black project. So it's either an adversarial nation that has leapfrogged and is now taunting and swarming our Navy ships in a brazen manner, or this is something not made from here. And saying that, let's be clear. This is a technology far more advanced than any human or humankind has ever made. And
okay,
if that's the case...
Yeah, let me ask you about that. Let me push back a little bit on the Pentagon and its transparency. We have plenty of history where they're hardly transparent. Could this be a grand misdirection? In other words, stuff they're testing, they're trying to pass it off as ET going on, and it's actually our stuff.
It's a great question, and here's the problem with that, is that the UFO mystery has been with humankind since the beginning of recorded human history. We've been observing craft in the air before the Wright brothers, before human beings were ever in the skies. So the UFO presence, whatever UFOs are and represent, they've been here so much longer than even our military. So the problem I have with that theory is that, look, if we had this technology, we'd win. This technology simply represents an astounding change in our understanding of physics and propulsion. And John, it's not ours. So that leaves us with a little bit of uncertainty. But I will say the UFO phenomenon has been with humankind since the beginning of recorded human history.
Let me ask you
that
this,
idea
Jeremy.
doesn't hold
Is it
water.
possible what we're seeing are not craft in the traditional word, but they are projections of craft done with lasers or some other source that projects an image on the sky that isn't really material? Do you get my drift?
I do. It's a great tactic, and there are patents out there that try to show a type of technology of warfare where you can project like holographic images. The problem is this. The multiple sensor systems that pick up the same event, the same saucers, the same tic-tac UFOs, there's too many sensors. There's optics. There's also radar. There's geospatial platforms that also pick up these same targets. So unfortunately, John, this is not just a projected holographic technique used by our military.
Well, I had to ask because I thought maybe that's the explanation. All right. I want to show, let's see. We got a lot of video to go through. Number 3, I think we've done number 3. Let's take a look at number 4 if we can. I'm trying to capture this one, and there's so much tape of the Navy pilots who were seeing this on their display. And I think it might be number 4. We're going to go until we get it. This is it. Listen to this discussion.
What's going on, bro? There's a whole fleet of them. Look on the ASA. My gosh. They're all going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots from the west. Look at that thing, dude. That's not our LNS, though, is it? It's not. That is the LNS, dude. Well, if there's look at that thing. It's rotating.
And that's the one that dives into the ocean.
Oh, got it! Woohoo!
Roger. That's troubleshooting.
Can you box moving target?
These guys have no idea what they're looking at.
Oh, okay.
Right. So let me clarify. This is really important what you're looking at, right? I got goosebumps, John, but I need to clarify. The first image that you saw was called the gimbal, and he says, into the water. I released the one that went into the water. The one that you saw from the Navy pilot, it's called the Go Fast, and he was so excited because he boxed a moving target. He was able to get it on his FLIR, system. And this, what you're seeing now, is called the Tic Tac UFO. This was filmed by Commander Chad Underwood, who's a friend of mine and talked with me for the first time on audio. He's the guy that filmed it. Commander David Fravor is the fighter pilot that chased it. And this is the one that defies all known physics as we know it. So the
and
one that I released...
at it, as a layperson, when we look at it, we say, well, it's just another plane. But these guys know what they're looking at, and it's doing things, even though if you're not a pilot, you may not be able to discern, but it's doing things that are otherworldly, right?
Yes, there is a learning curve when you're looking at these FLIR, which is basically a thermal type camera. But listen to the testimony of the people I've done interviews with. Listen to the testimony of Commander David Fravor, of Commander Chad Underwood, who filmed it. Now, really importantly, let's back up. We've hit a big milestone as of this last week. I released, and George Knapp, together we released 10 images in one video that have shocked the world, some of the best UFO evidence that I've ever seen. And I say that because of the context, because of the origin of what it is that I was able to obtain and release to the public. And one of those objects is shown going into the water. This is called a transmedium craft, something that can penetrate the air and water barrier without destruction. There we go. That's it. On your screen.
It's unbelievable stuff. All right. Do we have any sense? We got to take a break here. This is a fascinating topic. Do we have any idea about intent here? What are they showing any hostility, these crafts? Any hostility at all?
I'll tell you this. I am not somebody. That is the question. That's what our military wants to know. What is the intent? Who are the operators of this craft? What they are doing is they are brazenly demonstrating and performing for us by swarming our warships. So there is a new level of demonstration going on. Is it a threat? I'm not qualified to say. That's our Department of Defense's point of view.
That is so interesting. Jeremy Corbell, we are going to take a break here, documentary and investigative filmmaker, as we are talking about the third rail. It challenges everything we think we know, UFOs, and unidentified aerial phenomenon. We're back in a moment on Newsmaker Saturday. Welcome back on Newsmaker Saturday, talking UFOs and unidentified aerial phenomenon. We're not saying aliens are visiting. We're just saying there is stuff out there that credible people, Defense Department people, Navy pilots, commercial pilots are seeing that simply at this point cannot be explained. And right now, the official position of the U.S. government has changed of publicly ignoring this stuff to now saying these things are unexplainable. And they're going to issue a report probably in June. Jeremy Corbell is a documentary and investigative filmmaker. He's been looking into this stuff for years and years. And some of the stuff he's been talking about for years and years is kind of coming to pass. The government now can't ignore it because too many sightings, too much data out there. Jeremy, thanks. Part two of our program here. Hostile intent. We talked about that before the break. There's that video taken. You can tell me who it was taken by. You obtained it, of the craft not only flying in really spectacular fashion that can't be explained, but then diving into the ocean. Is that a missile? So, could that be a missile that is plunging back to Earth and ends up in the ocean and they capture it?
No. So that's from the USS Omaha, which is from one of our warships. And what you're seeing is one of the multitude of targets that it was tracking on the 15th of July in 2019 off the coast of California. I released that information just a couple of days ago, the exact dates. That object that ended up submerging, going into the water without destruction, that's called transmedium. They searched for it, and in the reports, it was even using a submarine. They were unable to find any materials. So we have craft that can go from air down to sea, and there's no destruction. This is incredible. So these technologies are more advanced than what we know and have in our arsenal. That is why our government is taking this seriously now. They want that technology.
Okay, so The million-dollar question. People always are asking, what would be an event that would be a uniting event for the world? Is this hold that possibility, or do you suspect as we start to unravel this, we could have utter chaos because now the government can't protect us? If there's hostile intent, whatever this stuff is, and again,
UFOs have been part of human experience since the beginning of recorded human history. If there was a hostile intent, I'm thinking we probably know about it by now. It seems more like a performance, like a dance, like a I see you, you see me. These things are not shooting down our airplanes. So I wouldn't have any fear at all, but I would have curiosity. In fact, I like to say my curiosity has been weaponized. I want to become an individual learning and contributing to this topic. Look, it's the greatest story of all time, and it's happening.
So why is this curiosity that you talk about not shared by high tech in Silicon Valley? People like Elon Musk, they have dismissed this stuff out of hand.
I'm sorry,
we've got
you're right.
all of our titans of this who are intellectually incurious about this.
I'll tell you something. Some people are privately curious and publicly not. Titans of industry were given access to this classified report that I was able to receive unclassified aspects of. I would be very surprised if in private Elon Musk had the same attitude as he did on the Joe Rogan show, which was dismissive. In private, I would be very surprised if that was the case.
Some of these guys have said, I'm trying to find the quote. One of these guys, astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson, he said that he would only take the idea seriously when aliens send him a dinner invite.
Yeah, well, that's a high bar because who knows if he's a really great guest to have even just for dinner to begin with. I don't know. I can't speak for the aliens. I'm just saying that that's a ridiculous comment from somebody who should not be acting ridiculous about the idea of extraterrestrial life and their ability to have greater physics than we do. I've had an exchange with Mr. Tyson, and I would like to respectfully disagree. I will take the dinner invitation, from other civilization, but I just think that he needs to look at this as he would and give it a fair shake as he would with any aspect of physics.
Right. Jeremy, the common line is that what we know of the universe and what's out there, that any intelligent life would be too far away from us to reach us, that it's just impossible. Do you challenge that assumption?
I do. And we talked about this 10 years ago, John. The concept of moving through time and space is a moot point. It absolutely doesn't matter. The only way craft can travel is gravitationally, and we are witnessing that. So these craft have to be gravitationally propelled. And this is understood within our Department of Defense that the craft are gravitationally propelled. So in which case, time and space no longer matters. It's instantaneous travel. It's hubris to believe that a reactionary propulsion system is the greatest of all propulsion systems, where you push something out the back and you go forward. These craft are gravitationally propelled, and that is demonstrated by their capabilities, recorded by our military.
I was going to get into the Phoenix Lights, but I can't. We don't have enough time. We will do that next time. Will you come back after the Department of Defense, the Pentagon, issues its report on, again, not aliens, unidentified flying object, unexplained aerial phenomenon, and we're going to get more from them. There have been far more sightings than we ever knew.
There is a great mystery here, John, and we have a duty to try to find out what's going on, what's flying with impunity in our skies. Let it be a foreign nation or let it be something more exotic. That doesn't matter. What matters is that we, as the American public and our military, have transparency, UFO transparency. And using that, we're able to determine what is going on with this UFO mystery.
Jeremy Corbell, it's great to see you again. Great to have you on the program, and we can't wait to have you back.
Thank you, John.
Okay, we'll take a breath on that one. Thank you, Jeremy. We're back in a minute on Newsmaker Saturday. If you're saying this Hook guy is insane, I'm just saying I don't know, and I don't pretend to know. So I'll leave it at that. We're back in a minute. The truth is out there. We will see you next week on Newsmaker Saturday.